Motherfucker.
Hello, it is February 24th, 2026. All right. Nothing interesting happened today in the markets, honestly, but I might as well review how Bitcoin is doing and show you what I would expect for Nvidia's earnings, all right, and how that would affect the Bitcoin trade. So if you're ready, if you're prepared to trade, it is time to prepare. And I'll go over some earnings I found quite interesting, the results of. Okay, we're going to look at that. But first, let's prepare ourselves for this. We have a State of the Union address coming up. However, let's look at how the British are doing before we look at how we're doing. How are those Anglo-Saxons doing? Are there any Anglo-Saxons left in Albion?
They put it up with this. Welcome to Britain. This is amazing. He gets arrested after, he got arrested.
A fucking cock you are.
Oi! Oi!
Wait.
What's that about? Wait, what notes are you taking down?
I'm just writing stuff down.
What, like the fact that we're not doing anything?
Well, you're not,
Aggravating anyone?
what you are.
No, but like verbally.
I'm not doing anything. What do
We're
you
not. I didn't mean to waste all your lot's time. We didn't think it would be this bad. The Arsenal one was
What
way
did I do?
better, honestly.
You're making
I didn't do nothing.
I was at the last Arsenal-Chelsea one. Yid Army!
You're a Chelsea fan.
Wait, no, Yid Army's their team.
Can you nick him, man?
Yid Army...
He's used the word Yid Army, which is illegal, so let's nick him for public order. Let's get him out
What?
of there.
I thought...
Oi, bruv. You got a license to say Yid. Bruv. Okay, I mean, I don't know what's going on here. I have no idea. If anybody of you guys know about soccer, football, hooliganism, can you chime in? What the fuck did he just say?
We're not doing anything.
Well, you're not,
Aggravating anyone?
what you are.
No, but like verbally.
I'm not doing anything. What do you
We're not. I didn't mean to waste all your lot's time. We didn't think it would be this bad. The Arsenal one was way better, honestly.
You're making
I didn't do nothing.
I was at the last Arsenal-Chelsea one. Yid Army!
You're a Chelsea fan.
Wait, no, Yid Army's their team.
Can you nick him, man?
Yid Army...
He's used the word Yid Army, which is illegal, so let's nick him for public order. Let's get him out
What?
of
I
there.
thought that was a...
Just so we are absolutely clear, Yid Army is a self-adopted nickname and chant used by Tottenham Hotspur supporters, including both Jewish and non-Jewish fans.
Come over here.
What? I thought that was a...
No.
What?
Mate, that's an offence. Come over, mate. All right, mate. You're currently under arrest.
Wait,
you-
no, is this real? There's no way this is real, right? What did he say that's illegal? Yid Army is a Spurs chant because they historically had a lot of Jewish fans. Spurs fans call themselves the Yid Army to take ownership of the term.
Violated public order. You heard what the sergeant said.
Why are you taking my
Oh
phone?
my
Can I give it to my
God.
friend?
Turn around, mate. I need a
Is this, look at how many police officers there are. This is insane.
Arrested so we can conduct an investigation and to prevent any physical harm.
If you just asked me to leave, I would have left.
All right.
I didn't know you were waiting to
Okay,
arrest
mate.
me. That's the Tottenham chant, and I sung it to a Tottenham fan. I wasn't trying to aggravate anyone.
Gonna have to conduct a search. Anyway.
They're gonna have to search him because he said a word?
Got anything on you that could potentially harm me?
No, absolutely nothing.
All right.
We're gonna have to do a cavity search on you.
Are you loosening
This
this
is the people are calling this the most British video ever.
If you asked me to leave, I would have left. I would have given you guys an easier job.
All right, mate.
I didn't even know that was a racist chant. I've never even heard that before. Last time I came to a Tottenham match, they were singing it, so I sung it as
Using the
well.
word yid if you're trying to antagonise.
No, but they're part of Tottenham.
All right.
I didn't try and antagonise anyone.
So clearly,
I tried to show I was on their side.
So clearly, that's antagonistic.
To who?
All right. Clearly, that's a public order offence.
Bro, like, it's the Karen country.
So what? You can't arrest them?
It's all about context, sir.
But I said it to a Tottenham.
It's all about context. So they're all saying the same, wait a minute. So they're all saying the same thing to him, walking by, the police are ignoring him, but he's getting arrested for saying...
What? That's not fair. Come on now. They've just five people just chanted it past you. What?
Oh my God.
And I've just got arrested
And
for the
look at
same
all
thing.
the police officers too.
How is that fair?
Depends if you're trying to antagonise.
I wasn't trying. I'm
All right?
explaining to you right now that I wasn't trying to antagonise anyone.
What the hell is going on over there?
Well, like the fact that we're not doing anything.
Well, you're not,
Aggravating anyone.
Well, merry old England. I don't know what to say about this. It's gonna get worse, I suppose. But like, if you go back to the beginning, like, didn't he get spat on?
Arrested.
A fucking cock you are.
Oi!
A fucking cock you are.
Oi!
Okay, yeah. I think he got spat on, right? So anyhow, holy shit. All right, guys. Yeah, it's very confusing over there. I have no clue what's gonna happen. So anyhow, let's see how this goes. It's just gonna get worse and worse, I assume. And at some point, people are just gonna get fed up.
It was not part of their blood. It came to them very late. It was long arrears to make good when the English began to hate. They were not easily moved. They were icy willing to wait till every count should be proved ere the English began to hate. Their voices were even and low, their eyes were level and straight. There was neither sign nor show when the English began to hate. It was not preached to the crowd, it was not taught by the state. No man spoke it aloud when the English began to hate. It was not suddenly bred, it will not swiftly abate. Through the chill years ahead, when time shall count from the date that the English began to hate.
So remember that poem, okay, guys? I read that poem like some time ago. I forgot when. I don't know if I read it in school or something, or something, but yeah. So just remember that poem as we continue on our journey into global warfare. I'm sure something's going to happen. We are headed somewhere. There was a lot of news, a lot of racket. So even though if we look at the markets, nothing happened. I have no clue, right? Oh, you don't like Asmund Grund. Well, he's put up there for a reason, right? We have a lot of things. We have a lot of people put up into the world here. Oi, don't be using illegal words, y'all. Yeah, exactly, right? How did an AI EHO become a bonger trad meme? It was some kind of parody of a game. So there was a game that was made to promote inclusivity or something, and then somebody just subverted the chick that was trying to bait people. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. I don't follow internet culture that closely. Like, I don't go on 4chan every damn day like I used to in the 2008, 2007, 2009, 2000 whatever. Remember Occupy Wall Street? I that was the peak of 4chan culture, I think. That was when I was introduced to 4chan by a grad student. So I was in grad school, and this guy was like, "Hey, you heard of 4chan?" And I was like, "What the fuck is that?" And that started me down that rabbit hole of 4chan. And then we had 2016 happen. That was another fun time, I suppose. But that was when it was already subverted quite a bit by the the glowies. You know the glowies? Do you guys know about the glowies? I don't know if you guys know about the glowies. But let's continue our journey here. So let's look at Bitcoin. All right, let me get my background music. So yeah, Asmongold is put up there for a reason. Actually, if you ever go to his old channel, Asmongold still has his old channel up where he just where it was just kind of like a small time channel that somebody just made just to I guess slice of life type stuff, a little bit of gaming, kind of like the old YouTube, pretty much Boit level content. And all of a sudden he became, PewDiePie levels, right? So I don't know. Is there some kind of agenda there. I'm sure there is. There's always an agenda everywhere, I assume. Anybody that gets popular, I assume there's an agenda. Okay, let me pick something. Let me pick this one. Okay. Hopefully while I was paused there, you guys looked at this chart carefully. Have you studied this chart? Have you studied this chart? What the hell? BTC dumped below 63. I mean, you gotta study this chart. Okay, this is Wyckoff, all right? So let me take away the chart and let me put back the chart. Okay? Okay? You see that? Okay? So that's the Bitcoin chart, right? This is Bitcoin dropping since February 1st. Or January 31st, whatever you want to say. We stopped here Friday, February 6th. We bounced. We went back. We went back up. We went back. We tried to go back up, failed, and now we're at the bottom. Bottom of that pink area, like I told you yesterday. So yesterday morning, I said I wouldn't be surprised if we went to that bottom of the pink zone. What's that pink? What's that pink zone? That pink zone is the range. The range that I've been drawing since we dropped here. I left this. I haven't changed this drawing. I left this pink area for a reason, you know. So I can extend this out further. We can keep going further. I don't know where we are going to be at, but this is important. This pink area is important. All right. So anyhow, let me draw this back here. Okay. And the reason I did this is that the first drop is what they call a selling climax in Wyckofian terms. So this is Richard D. Wyckoff. All right. These patterns have been seen for many, many decades when we first studied markets, such as the stock market. And this can be applied to most any market. Every market is about the same. We have an automatic reaction. That's what the AR means. So SC is selling climax, automatic reaction. And then we had a little test, right? So ST is for test, for some kind of test. I don't know what the S, secondary test. I think that's what it's called. This was a secondary test right here. And that's why I started drawing this yellow area. Once you see these patterns, you know, you see them everywhere. So that's why I say, like, study, keep studying. This is you doing pattern recognition. AI can definitely do this because all we're doing is looking at images, right? So that's why I say looking at charts is so useful because AI can do this work for us. So if we can train AI, all right, to study many charts, and then you ask AI, hey, can you predict how long something will stay in this pink zone? Can you predict when I can buy, when I can sell? You know, can you do that for me? If you can do that for me, I don't need to do a damn thing. That's what it is. So what's the other secondary test? Secondary test at phase B was here. Okay, was in this area. So let me get that out. This is probably that area here, phase B. All right. Then we went back up. So we're still in phase B. All right. Right there. Then we went back down. Okay. We started goofing around with that. And now we're here. We are now in phase C. Now, once we finish phase C, I am going to buy a lot. Okay. Go long a lot because I think this will freak people out. People will get scared. I don't know what's going to happen in NVIDIA. All right. I don't know what's going to happen. But, let's look at the indicators here. You see this setup? This does look like it's ready to pop back up. Now, if this is a failure here, this will start a bigger chain reaction of it going down to 50,000. If this thing can go down to 50,000, oh hell yeah. That will mean like we can get back up to 80K faster than people think. So it's a little too optimistic to think it's going to recover by March 3rd. You see? This is the thing, however. If you get a significant dump here, if you shake all the weak hands out, we can go up faster. If, however, we stay here and this thing goes back up, it will take longer to complete. It will take, so from here to here will take about 55 days. That means we'll take a longer amount of time, right? We'll have to go through March into April. But if, however, we get a significant drop into 50K, that will shake all the idiots out. You need morons. Morons provide the liquidity. All the idiots will be screaming, oh, it's over, the sky is falling. That's when you buy. That's when you really buy. Because then you'll be on the right side. Because all the big boys are buying there. They're trying to shake you out. They're trying to shake all these guys out. The people that bought here at 70K, they're feeling pretty bad right now. And they're just going to be like, whoa, it's 50. Holy shit, I went from 70 to 50. That's the problem. That's the problem. So, I mean, that's the thing, right? Dude on Bloomberg saying Bitcoin. I don't know who's on Bloomberg, right? I don't watch news. I don't care. But if they're telling people to buy right here, that means that, like, there's going to be an attempt to go back closer to this yellow area, right? These people are going to buy it. And then they're going to get suckered out again because this will start a bigger drop to 50,000. And that will be the real bottom. Okay? That's the game you play. You play the game where... That's why news is useless. It's for this useless eaters to watch. News is useless. The other thing that's useless is to study candlesticks. Like you basically say, oh, I see a... Okay, that's why I tell you not to study technical analysis, because you're gonna be like, oh, that is a engulfing doji or something, whatever, bearish engulfing pattern, or this is a blah blah pattern. No, I don't do that stuff here. The only technical analysis I do is to study ranges, to study trends, to study volume. Okay, so you look in here, look at the volume. How much volume is here coming in here? That's a lot more volume than what we've seen so far here. It looks like a lot more volume combined. So this whole area is building a lot of volume. If it fails again to make a significant rally here and rolls back over to the bottom, that means this is a lot of effort for no result. That means we're going to have a big drop down. Okay? So if you look at this, right? Let's look at this. Like, before we had this huge drop, look at what happened before. You see this one here? Let me take this away. You see this one? This was the last attempt at 100,000. This was the largest amount of volume coming in than everything behind it. And all of a sudden, right, you just failed and went back down to 88. And then you started just going sideways for several days, pretty much a week, I think, here. Okay, that's pretty much a week of no result. You had a lot of effort here to try to get up to 100,000, and you just puke it, you just give it all back. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? You basically say, like, I'm getting ready to short. So once you saw this bar here, you're like, short right here, and then you would just roll it all the way down to here. Okay, that's it. That's how you look for these things. So I am looking for a significant change in behavior. I don't see any change in behavior. I am going to assume that this is going to fail too. If I don't see any change in Nvidia's earnings where this thing will just push up through this yellow area, then we are just going to fail. Okay, we are just going to fail and roll over. That's what it's going to be. All right. That's enough of that. Let's look at some earnings, and we're going to add that to our list of things to do. All right. Okay, so Keysight, very nice company, but very boring stock. Keysight was a spin-off of Hewlett Packard. Okay, Hewlett Packard split into multiple companies. One of them was Agilent. Agilent then split itself off between Agilent, which did medical instrumentation, and Keysight, which continued to do electrical instrumentation. So if you're an electrical engineer, you probably know about Keysight. A lot of instruments like multimeters, oscilloscopes are made by Keysight. The other one is Tektronix. Tektronix, I don't believe, has a stock. It used to be headquarters in Oregon. It might have been bought out by someone. Tektronix might have been bought out by someone else already by now. It was a smaller competitor to Hewlett Packard. But Hewlett Packard, when it started in the 70s to 80s, it was a instrumentation manufacturer. So all the test equipment was made by them. And that was long before they entered into the PC market. So people only know HP now for laptops, PCs, and stuff. Well, no, and servers, but no, they started off. This was their original, original business was in instrumentation. So usually a boring stock, but after they split off, they'd done quite well. So 2016, you see they had a dip here. I think that was following the markets here. 2015, 2016, there was a bear market in Asia expanding into Europe. Europe had the issue with the Eurozone, Greece debt. If you don't remember about Greece and their debt issues and dragging the whole Eurozone down, that was what caused this. So the Asian crisis, European crisis. So a lot of stock market issues there. And then after that, we recovered and we went up pretty well. But since 2021, since the end of the COVID bubble, it's been going sideways. But recently, okay, in November, so Thanksgiving, the last earnings it went up to 200 and crossed over. And that was a very significant resistance level. And you can see it spent many weeks testing it, right? See that? So that's the same thing like UwU. Okay, so Eric W, if you remember, like, if you bought UwU when I told you to buy it, you would have bought it here. But since you bought it here, you basically bought it where there's a lot of resistance. Okay, so that's why there's going to be buyers and sellers fighting here, basically trying to wear each other down, trying to figure out what is the price of this stock now. And then it slowly started creeping up again, right into the New Year's, right, and into February. And then we have earnings. Earnings now confirms that this stock is going to go a lot higher. This is a huge range between 2021 and 2024. We have a 4-year range where it went nowhere. Now it's ready to go a lot higher. So who knows? This could be a very new stock that people will be looking at for quite a while. Let's see. Other things to look at, CIFR, cipher mining, so Bitcoin or crypto mining, which is turned into AI, data center servicing. Same thing as HUT. HUT will report earnings, I think Thursday or tomorrow. I don't know. I think it's tomorrow, right? Yeah, okay, tomorrow morning. So I'm curious to see how this goes. I bought HUT back here in November, December, okay, when it was around 34. I mean, I bought HUT in April too, but, whatever. Once it did this, I'm like, I'm out. I'm getting out. Once it got towards 40, I'm out. And then I said, like, well, I'll make a trade here because there was a lot of volume here in December. So I bought some here. I bought some more in December, make a little trade. It got up to like close to 60. And then all of a sudden, it just looked weaker and weaker every week in January. And I got out. Now it's trying to recover. So I don't know if I want to get back in, honestly. But if it does hold this after earnings, if Bitcoin doesn't like shake people out too badly, if the NASDAQ doesn't completely die off after Nvidia, I don't know. It really depends on those things too. I might get back in. Okay, this might be a bigger bubble coming here because then we'll have to get people to get suckered in and you could easily trade this up very high, because you could tell like a lot of people are struggling to figure out where this wants to go. And if this thing goes against the bears, then yeah, this thing could shoot up $100 a share, because there's so many shorts here. Probably, I'm guessing that they'll get blasted away, and so yeah, that'll be a good trade. Otherwise, it'll just crash. I think if Bitcoin and the Nasdaq just completely pukes, then this thing will just go right back down to $15 or something pretty quickly. So it's a potential short too, but I wouldn't be betting in any direction for now, because there's just too many things going into play that you have to worry about. Okay, what's the other ones I want to look at? Italian defense company, DRS Leonardo. So I mentioned this a few times this year, all right, as one of those European defense companies I was eyeing. So it made quite a bit of large candles here on earnings. So usually it got whooped down. So there was a change of behavior here. But overall, there's a very good trend since the Ukraine war started. So it's been doing good. It follows along with a lot of European defense companies. Very nice. And the trend is still obeyed, right? Okay. So we're kind of been going in a little sideways range here. And so I'm wondering if it's finally ready to break out at 50. And if it is, so with this 15% move, in the coming weeks, if it holds here, then yeah, it's ready to go a lot higher too. So this will be added to the boomer stock section. The other one too is Axon body camera stock. I talked about a lot about this stock in 2024 during John Galt's time. So if you bought it at 300, you did quite well, because it went up to 650, and it's been going sideways. It hasn't been doing anything. So it's pretty boring in 2025. I never looked at this in 2025 because semiconductors was the place to be. And then in November on earnings, we had this drop. So I've been waiting to see how it does here. Look at that. It tagged the 40-month moving average, and I think we should be ready to go up. So if it's going to hold 15% tomorrow, let's see what happens. If this thing can work its way back up to 500, then yeah, I might add this back to a boomer stock for you guys. So this might be the way to be too. So there are a few stocks to look at. Okay, I also mentioned about WGS. So this is Gene DX. It's a gene editing or testing or something stock. I don't know what it does really. I just like its chart. You buy it at $1 here. It goes up to 80, 60, 80, whatever. Great. So I said, if this thing did not do well on earnings, which was like yesterday morning, so Monday morning, and today it's down 7%. If it goes to $40, so let's say the Nasdaq craps out on Nvidia, and this thing just follows the Nasdaq down to $40, $50, I'm going to attempt a long. Okay, very risky. This stock is no joke. If people really want to short this thing from here, it's quite easy to scare people out, because I'm not even sure if there were any real buyers here. Let's see. You look at the significant volume here. Let's see that bar is significant. If it breaks this low of that bar at 70, you are taking a chance at buying at 40 and 50, because I don't know where it's going to stop. It could very well just not stop at 40 and 50. It will keep on going down. So I would only say that this is a thing that's worth playing, because if we look at XBI, the biotechs, look at it. It's up this week at 1.72%. It's trying to break out. So there's definitely a play here, because people are betting that interest rates are going to get cut significantly in May. So it's something to buy in case that was the nice low that we'll make in the coming 2 months. All right, so let's look at XBI versus the S&P 500. You can see like it's outperforming the S&P 500. It's about to it's outperforming this week the S&P 500 by 3.82%. Okay. So people are hiding out here for some reason, right? Why would you hide out in biotechs? Biotechs are the worst place to hide out if you think the whole economy is going to go to crap. So yeah, that makes no sense unless you think this is the bottom, okay, for a lot of small caps. And the other thing too with the small caps is that there's a lot of value companies that we'll have to look at. So looking at small cap, yeah, small caps are trying to hold. Okay, we'll see with that. So XLP, also SPY is still going up, right? Yeah, okay. This one's still going up. So I'll discuss this in a Twitter post later. What range do you start when you're analyzing stocks for the first time? That depends on your style of trading. So for me, I swing trade. So I'll look at it. The first thing I'll look at is a 10-year chart to see where it was. Then after that, I zoom in to a yearly chart. Okay, and that's it. That's what I'll do. Okay, so that's what I'll do. If you're an investor, you'll look at a 20-year chart or even higher, maybe even 50 years if it can go that high. And then you look at everything by the quarter. So you'll look at 5 years or 2 years. Okay? That's how you look at it. It depends. And day traders won't even look that high, right? Day traders will probably just only look at maybe 2 to 3 years to see if there's a trend at that level, and then scale down to swing, like very short time swing traders and day traders. So you'll look at 2 or 3 years, then you'll zoom into a few months, okay, based on that. And then from there, you kind of have an idea of where things are with this stock. And then you try to trade it within that area. If you look at Joe Rabel, you can go to Joe Rabel's channel. That's probably better. You can see examples of this. He does that a lot. So, because that's multi-time frame analysis. So he's very good at explaining that multi-time frame. He had to change his name because someone kept like trying to spoof his channel or something. They made copies of his image everywhere, some kind of crap. Let me find it. Okay, so he changed his whole thing here. Yeah, there you go. Go look at Joe Rabel. And he has a book too, like $5 you can buy his book. It's just a PDF if you want. But if you watch his videos, you'll know what's up. All right. So Joe Rabel. Okay, anything else? When you first look at a stock, what range? Okay, I read that you use. No, it's not because it's a bellwether. It's because NVIDIA like affects everything. So I already explained this last stream or 2 streams ago. I mean, you look at the last earnings. Like the influence of NVIDIA is crazy. Like okay. All right. All right, let's see. This was the earnings, right? Last year. Yeah, you see that? So this was a close on Wednesday. So it opened up like 5%, right? So it opened at 5%. And then all of a sudden it just like the whole day it just dropped. Okay, so for the whole damn day it just dropped. So let me just do freaking okay. Let me do this. Yeah, the whole day. Like here, it dropped here, right? Somewhere here. So 8%. Then on Friday it dropped even more. So Friday morning Basically, we went from all the way up positive 5%, and we dropped to 11.60%, basically. So nearly a 12% drop in a single stock. And what did the NASDAQ do during that same period? So that's just one stock, right? That's just one stupid stock. And for the NASDAQ, dropped 5%. So one stock dropping 12% caused the whole index to drop 5%. Can you explain that to me? Why does that happen? Because this is a market cap weighted index. NASDAQ 100, S&P 500 are market cap weighted. Okay. 7 stocks on the S&P 500, tech companies basically, control 40% of the whole index. And then the whole index has derivatives, right? So the S&P, the NASDAQ, they have futures that everyone plays with. They have options that everyone plays with. Tons of these people play with options, okay? Calls and puts, futures, all around the world. And so one stock, one little stock, it's not even little, right? It's pretty big, significant, trillions of dollars. It's the Nvidia is only like beat by silver and gold at this point. I think only silver and gold beats Nvidia in terms of value. So total market cap value. So let me find that website, market cap. All right. Okay, I got it. Like that's why you gotta watch all my streams. you can't skip anything. Every stream I drop something important. Okay, that's why it takes a long time to do this, because most people don't spend the time to study. Oh, what's market cap? What's this and that? Nobody cares, right? Boring shit. But this influences a lot of how you trade, man. Right. So anyway, who's Ghost? Is that the guy on that ham radio or whatever? Who's Ghost? I don't know who Ghost is. I've heard of that in reference to Ralph. But then eventually this year there'll be a healthy bear market rally to form a lower macro high. Just my opinion happened. I don't know. I just follow charts, man. I have no clue. All I can do is follow what the chart says for now. If the chart changes, I'll change. I think it's very possible div in the 50s with Iran's also Nvidia. I'll also have another articles to read, so wait up on that. I have some astrology for you guys. Ghost Politics. Yeah, I've heard of him. I never. I recognize his voice. I think people always play clips from him, but I never watched him, so I don't know what it is. Sounds like some guy you would hear in ham radio. Like if any of you guys do ham radio, you'll hear some crazy boomers screaming about like the Jews or some shit. I don't know. See right here, gold, silver, market cap. Gold market cap of gold is $35 trillion. Market cap of silver is basically $5 trillion. Market cap of Nvidia is 4.695. So there you go. So Nvidia is only beat by silver and gold at this point. What's the rest of these? Apple, Alphabet / Google, Microsoft, Amazon, TSMC, Saudi Aramco, Meta, Broadcom, Tesla, and then 13th place, Bitcoin. Okay. That's it. Now you understand, right? Now you understand where everything's concentrated in. So Ghost is a legend. He's been streaming for decades. Yeah, he's a boomer. Yeah, of course. He's probably been streaming even before it was called streaming on his ham radio set, I bet. Okay. Do you guys want to hear some astrology? I have some astrology for you guys. Let me find this tweet. Tweet. There's a lot of tweets like the past several days. Jesus Christ. See what happens when the market is boring? When the market is boring, they keep going to these crazier and crazier tweets and blog posts and all this stuff. They all keep trying to find a reason for, oh, the market's going to do this, the market's going to do that. If they can't find a reason, they'll make a reason, right? So that's why you don't listen to news. But I found this one pretty interesting. You know, I've heard about this one before, and I'm sure a lot of people are into astrology. So let me see. You are now entering the Poets. I never knew how to pronounce this. Poets crash window. What are the odds that 8 of the greatest market crashes in history would all occur within 6 days before to 3 days after a full moon that fell within 6 weeks of a solar eclipse? According to Steve Poets, the probability is so small that it stands out as a statistical anomaly, ultimately leading him to define what is now known as the Poets crash window. Poets' theory suggests that crashes most often begin after the first full moon, following a solar eclipse, when that full moon is also a lunar eclipse. In this pattern, markets tend to peak a few days ahead of the eclipse full moon, then drift sideways to slightly lower as the date approaches. Once the full moon arrives, or just after, the panic phase begins, typically lasting 2 to 4 weeks. Uh-oh. All right, so if this is going to happen, then we are going to get into a protracted downturn into tax season. All right. Well, you know, peak tax season anyway. You should be doing your taxes right now anyhow. Okay. The Poets crash window aligns in 2026. We saw the solar eclipse on February 17th, 2026, which will be followed by a full moon and total lunar eclipse on March 3rd, 2026. Under Poets' framework, the idealized market peak would have occurred 2 to 4 days before the eclipse full moon, placing the expected high between January 27th and March 2nd. Uh-oh. That's the weekend, right? That's this weekend. So, that would suggest that you shouldn't be buying anything before the weekend, because I'm guessing the weekend we will declare war on Iran based on this astrology right here. The final trading sessions before the lunar eclipse trigger date. All right, so there you go. Looks like there's a lot of people taking this shit seriously. All right, interesting. Okay, the people are posting here a reply. Add the Mercury retrograde. I don't know. That is interesting. So anyhow, there you go. You can go read that stupid article, or tweet if you want. I don't care. You can find it. All right. Okay. What are the things we gotta get into? No, I'm not gonna cover that. We have a State of the Union address, and then my thumbnail. My thumbnail basically had a the Gerald Ford and all this. I don't know if you've been paying attention to that whole Gerald Ford shit. So, but yeah, I was spending some time trying to see what thumbnails I could create from that Gerald Ford thing. Like, AI came up with this. I thought that was quite interesting. What is AI trying to tell me here? Like, huh? I just said, AI, can you draw me something about the Gerald R. Ford and the toilets being filled with poop, that it can't be flushed? And it drew this for me. I'm like, what the fuck? This is why I love this AI playing around with it, because that's this thing is like AI like comes up with the wildest shit sometimes. It's just like, what the heck happened? Why would it make that? Fascinating. But anyhow, the whole thing is to, we have to be prepared. And what do we have to be prepared for? Not not Iran. Iran's just a proxy, you know what I mean? The real target is China. All right? It's China. Okay? So Tim Cook was told by the CIA that China would move on Taiwan by 2027. New York Times reports that Tim Cook of Apple and other top executives were warned that China could attack Taiwan by 2027 and that they should plan accordingly. There was a stream today by the CS what is it? What's it called? Freaking hell, I don't know what it's called. Hold on. Let me see. China. What the fuck? Okay, yeah, the Chinese purges. Have you heard of this? All the Chinese purges in the military or something? So today there was a live stream. I don't know if it's still going. Let me see. No, it's already done. It's finished. I'll give you the link to the live stream so you guys can watch it yourself. I'm not gonna watch this shit. I don't got time to be watching this shit. Like, it's here, see? Go to assessing the scope and impacts of Xi's military purges. This was 3 hours ago, started 3 hours ago. Center for Strategic and International Studies. I think that should sound familiar to some of you guys because they're a very important think tank. So yeah, you can go to their link there, right there. All right, so there you go. I like the use of the word potentially. Let's admit there's uncertainty in the basic data of the analysis, but let's make conclusions with absolute certainty. Whatever, I don't know. So you guys can watch that yourself, okay? But they are definitely talking about this. That's the whole thing here. Let me see what else. We got a bunch of stupid little blogs to read because of these things. Man, we got, oh my god, now I have to read all this crap. Okay, let me just start at the beginning, because Monday, I guess people couldn't figure out why the market was going down, and they were blaming this blog article. I have no clue why one little blog article would matter. Like, do these people not know what happens on a Monday after options expiration? So this is something I've explained many times on my show. When I first started this stuff, talk about options expiration week. I barely talk about it anymore. I would assume people know this stuff, especially in the news. You think the news would know this stuff, but they don't, apparently. Mondays following monthly options expiration, which was last Friday, often experience downward pressure driven by post-expiration portfolio adjustments and reduced liquidity. So I'm just using AI now, because since we have such a sophisticated AI, I am not going to repeat what I said many years ago. I'm just going to let AI tell you, spoon feed everyone here. This phenomenon is part of a broader third week effect where after Friday's expiration related volatility, market participants rebalance positions, often leading to a bearish trend on the following Monday. So in other words, the third Friday of each month, the following Monday is usually the time when it goes down. All right, that's it. That's all it means. That means the Monday after, it's usually gonna be a down day. Some people have, use that to do their strategy. So if people want to make consistent money, they think like, okay, every Monday after the third Friday, I just short the market and I should make money. Some people do that. Yeah, so, but for some reason yesterday, everyone was like screaming about this blog. And I never even heard of this damn company. What the heck is Citrini Research? But everyone was blaming this blog for crashing the stock market. Dude, the stock market just went down like 1% or something. What are you guys talking about? And like, why would this thing cause it? Like, who cares about? Who is this guy? Who is Alap Shah? Who is Alap Shah? Is this an H-1B visa guy? Who is this? Anyway, if you want me to read this, all right, I'll read a little bit of this. I'll tell you what this guy wrote. So this is like fan fiction, okay? Right here. This is assuming in the future. So he's writing about the future. June 30th, 2028. The consequences of abundant intelligence. The unemployment rate printed 10.2% this morning. A 0.3% upside surprise. The market sold off 2% on the number, bringing the cumulative drawdown in the S&P to 38% from its October 2026 highs. So he's saying that the peak of the stock market is going to be October 2026, and from then on we should drop 38% into 2028. All right? Okay, this is the fan fiction here. Traders have grown numb. 6 months ago, a print like this would have triggered a circuit breaker. 2 years. That's all it took to get from contained and sector specific to an economy that no longer resembles the one any of us grew up in. This quarter's macro memo is our attempt to reconstruct the sequence, a post-mortem on the pre-crisis economy. The euphoria was palpable, my bad. By October 2026, the S&P 500 flirted with 8,000. The NASDAQ broke above 30,000. The initial wave of layoffs due to human obsolescence began in early 2026. And they did exactly what layoffs are supposed to. Margins expanded, earnings beat, stocks rallied, record-setting corporate profits were funneled right back into AI compute. The headline numbers were still great. Nominal GDP repeatedly printed mid to high single-digit annualized growth. Productivity was booming. Real output per hour rose at rates not seen since the 1950s. Driven by AI agents that don't sleep, take sick days, or require health insurance. The owners of compute saw their wealth explode as labor costs vanished. Meanwhile, real wage growth collapsed. Despite the administration's repeated boasts of record productivity, white-collar workers lost jobs to machines and were forced into lower-paying roles. When cracks began appearing in the consumer economy, economic pundits popularized the phrase ghost GDP, output that shows up in the national accounts but never circulates through the real economy. Okay, so apparently this shit like freaked out the whole stock market or something. Ghost GDP. So, the GDP doesn't exist because nobody's getting paid because the robots are taking all the jobs. Okay, I don't know, whatever. Okay, so this just means like we're gonna get all UBI, right? Because thank God, I just want to get UBI. Can I get UBI checks even though I'm not working either? I'm just here just like talking to you guys on a stream, you know? Do I get paid for this? No, I don't. I don't get paid at all for doing this shit. Hopefully I get paid. This is what Tech Bros goon to. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, well, I don't know. Whatever. But they blame this whole thing on the stock market going down 1%. That's crazy. You gotta be kidding me. This shit really... Does he even have any formulas here? If he has any math to back this up here. I mean, he's got a lot of shit. Definitely got a lot of PowerPoint slides to show you. Definitely got a lot of PowerPoint slides. Woo. Oh shit! Ooh, look at that! Look at that! Look at that! The AI feedback loop. Oh, we're going to hell, right? A non-cyclical disruption. So traditional cyclical recession. Let's see. Overbuilding, inventory overshoot. So that's like all you idiots buying all the RAM. Okay, Micron is just building, and eventually there's a peak and the prices start crashing because nobody's ordering RAM anymore, and then it's all going back down. Okay, that's the commodity cycle. That's exactly what happened with silver, essentially. Construction, slow down, destocking. Okay. And then lower rates, restocking. So I guess lower interest rates or something. And then new construction and recovery. So the AI-driven economic feedback loop. No natural break. AI investment increases and AI capacity improves. Companies need fewer workers. Okay. White-collar layoffs increase. Displaced workers spend less. Okay, so that assumes like they'll lay off people like Monty, right? So Monty probably makes quite a bit. Hopefully she makes over 150,000 at her job. She should be able to get up to 200,000 if she works the corporate politics game correctly. So she'll be making 200,000, and then all of a sudden they'll develop an AI that could do her job, and she's laid off, and then all the money that she gave to Hormaxer, Grace, you know, that all disappears. Or King TL wanted some money like some hours ago, or I mean days ago, right, to go fly or do something. I think he already got paid by Damius, so I don't know what job Damius works at, but I'm assuming Damius also works at a white collar type job, if he works at all anyway. And economy weakens. Companies invest more in AI to protect margins. So this causes a feedback loop where they rely more and more on AI, okay, to reduce their cost. And then all of a sudden nobody works anymore. So this thing will just keep looping and looping until everyone gets laid off, except for plumbers, concrete workers like King TL. Okay, all right, so that's the hype here. Anyway, this is way too long. I can't read all this junk. Come on. Oh man, what is this? Okay, so this PowerPoint slide, I'm guessing here, tech white collar workforce, so high skill, high wage, gets laid off, and they run into what? They do DoorDash. So they all run to do DoorDash and Uber Eats, and then what happens here? Then everybody gets lower wages, and then they get screwed this way too. Okay, what's your next slide? What's this one? Private credit and life insurers. Asset managers, yeah, Apollo is a big one. So what does this mean? So AI disruption to ARR drives wave of defaults. Oh, okay. So we're gonna get into a credit default spiral here too, huh? Goes all the way to Bermuda. So insurance companies are gonna get screwed over. What? Holy shit. So this contagion is gonna spread to my life insurance? Oh my god, fuck. So he compares this to the 2008. So this is here's your fan fiction. So subprime crisis, all right. So origination, bad loans with no documentation, ninja, stated income, ninja. What is that? Is that the N-word? Is these try to sneak in an N-word in there? Borrower profile, subprime, low FICO, low credit, minimal savings, trigger, rates reset, payments spike, delinquencies visible almost immediately, broad Sunbelt sprawl. So yeah, if you guys remember 2008, a lot of the houses in the Sunbelt, Phoenix, Arizona, Vegas, you know, inland California, basically like Inland Empire areas, Barstow, like between LA, Riverside, and Vegas. Write down bad loans, punish fraud. All right, so 2028, we have good loans, real income, real docs, real down payments, prime, subprime, high FICO saving buffers trigger income permanently impaired by AI displacement. So he's basically saying when the wages start crashing, all these guys get laid off, they run to the gig economy. The gig economy starts going down. I mean, because like all these guys are competing for the same freaking wages, and the elites basically don't need to pay you anymore because there's so much damn supply of workers. They can pay you less and less, and you're still desperate to work at DoorDash and Uber Eats. Apparently, you can't figure out another way to make money. Delinquency is variable and timing masked by HELOC draws, so HELOC, home equity loans, 401k withdrawals, credit card bridging. I think we already have this issue. These HELOCs and they're gonna start, or they already have started. So I already see like credit card delinquencies rise. Concentrated in tech finance hubs. So that means San Francisco, New York City, Seattle, Manhattan, Austin. So all these cities are going to turn into even worse places, huh? Okay. Technology keeps improving, preventing underwriting. Pool of new buyers continue to shrink. So that just means like we need like UBI, okay? So I don't know. What the hell, man? Whatever. Okay, yeah, so you guys can read this on your own. I have the link pinned. I think that's enough fan fiction for today. I spent way too much time on that. Let's look at this fan fiction here, if this is even fan fiction. So the New York Times posted about Taiwan, right, in 2027. So 2028, we got to worry about AI disrupting wages. And 2027, we got to worry about invasion of Taiwan. Okay, the looming Taiwan chip disaster that Silicon Valley has long ignored. So federal officials have for years tried to wean Silicon Valley from its dependence on Taiwan, an island democracy roughly the size of Maryland that makes 90% of the world's high-end computer chips. If you didn't know that by now, I don't know where you've been, but everybody should learn that Taiwan makes pretty much everything you have in your computer and iPhone. In secret briefings held in Washington and Silicon Valley, national security officials warned executives from companies like Apple, Advanced Micro Devices, and Qualcomm that China was making plans to retake Taiwan, which Beijing has long considered a breakaway territory. A Chinese blockade of Taiwan, the officials said, could choke the supply of computer chips made on the island and bring the U.S. tech industry to its knees. Two presidents have tried persuading the industry to change. President Joseph R. Biden Jr. offered financial grants worth billions to improve the domestic production of chips. After that didn't work, President Trump threatened billions in tariffs to essentially accomplish the same thing. But warnings, gifts, and threats have made little difference. The U.S. tech industry has stubbornly refused to shift where it gets most of its chips, which power things like smartphones, laptops, and the giant data centers that run artificial intelligence. Now there is increasing concern that inaction by some of Silicon Valley's most important companies risks destabilizing the global economy. Those worries drawn into focus by recent live fire drills conducted by the Chinese military in waters surrounding Taiwan have prompted dire warnings from White House officials. The single biggest threat to the world economy, the single biggest point of single failure, is that 97% of the high-end chips are made in Taiwan. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said last month at the World Economic Forum in Davos. Okay, so I'm not going to read the rest of this stuff. This seems like it's just more fan fiction. Now, there is importance to read fan fiction, however, like this. Somebody out there is trying to put these things out into the ether, right? They're trying to change how people feel about stocks. So when AI first started like percolating, you know. They started going like, oh, okay, we got OpenAI, we got ChatGPT. Look at that, look at that, look at that. So they wanted people to run into AI stocks, right? Now you look at here, all these things are trying to make people get afraid of staying in semiconductors and AI, right? In a way, kind of, not really. But I think the other thing that you should look at is these type of articles. They're trying to push you into more of a mode where you should expect conflict somewhere, right? You should expect conflict. This one here definitely for sure wants you to get into some conflict mode. So let me read this summary thing here. So this blog, Mac Rumors, they made a summary of this stuff. Let me see if they summarize this thing for us, so I don't need to read that huge ass article. Blah 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 blah. Okay. The previously unreported briefing was apparently held in a secure room in Silicon Valley in July 2023. So this supposedly secured room. So it says secured room, and now it's got leaked somehow. So this secured room, whoever was in this secured room, they know who it is, and whoever leaked this to the New York Times is gonna get whacked or something. I don't know, punished for leaking it, or did they just leak it on purpose right now for a reason? Is there a reason why this news item should be released to the public now? Does anybody here know? So July 2023, so that was nearly through 3 years ago. The meeting is said to have been arranged at the request of then Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo, who had grown frustrated with the tech industry's reluctance to move chip production away from Taiwan. CIA Director William Burns and Director of National Intelligence Avril Haines reportedly presented the latest intelligence on China's military plans to cook NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang, AMD CEO Lisa Su, and Qualcomm CEO Cristiano Amon. Cook reportedly told officials afterwards that he slept with one eye open. Okay. How much do I want to read this? Blah 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 blah. Okay, that's nothing. So, what I want to tell you is that there's reasons why these articles are coming out. The one with about like wage spiral and the AI increasing unemployment to 10%. And then you have this one, which is like, oh, Taiwan is going to be a flashpoint for war. So, what do we have recently in the news? What we have recently is the fact that there are clogged toilets on the USS Gerald R. Ford. Now, several days ago to 1 week ago, these articles were written by another think tank. So this website called 1945 is run by a think tank, and they started like blasting these articles. You know, very convenient. They blasted these articles just before all the poop stuff started happening, like the rumors of like people throwing towels into the shitter. I have no clue what the hell is going on, if that's even true, if that's even propaganda. But here we are. This was written before that, though. Psychology suggests crew fatigue is setting in. U.S. Navy aircraft carrier USS Gerald R. Ford is being pushed past any normal limits. So America's most advanced, most expensive aircraft carrier is being sent back to the Middle East after more than 230 days deployed. Even with EMALS and AG, so these are like the takeoff and landing technologies that allows these jets to be launched and returned very quickly. So the Gerald R. Ford is the latest generation of aircraft carriers, which is supposed to be able to launch sorties of jets faster than any other aircraft carrier in history. Described as steadier since 2025 and layered defenses, the carrier is framed as increasingly exposed to Iranian anti-ship ballistic missiles, potentially enabled by possible Chinese space-based tracking. Now, the reason why you would write stuff like this, and then all of a sudden we have this poop issue on the whole carrier, is to essentially get Congress to increase defense spending. So I assume that when Trump is doing his State of the Union address tonight, it's going to be filled with this type of rhetoric where we need to increase our defense spending. This is probably what's going to happen. So, stocks like Leonardo, are really the place to be. You want defense company stocks right now because they're going to keep pushing this stuff as we continue into 2030. Having conducted extensive training operations in the North Sea last year with NATO, then operating near the Middle East during the 12-day war, serving as the flagship of the U.S. Navy's flotilla off the coast of Venezuela, which ultimately captured Nicolas Maduro and his wife in the early hours of the morning on January 3rd, the Trump administration has now ordered America's most expensive and advanced flat top back to the Middle East. The Leviathan is powered by two A-1B nuclear reactors and can achieve a top speed of more than 30 knots. It displaces around 100,000 tons, measures 1,106 feet long and 256 feet wide, with a draft of 39 feet. The carrier has an air wing of more than 75 aircraft, including F-35C Lightning IIs, FA-18EF Super Hornet, and the E-2D Advanced Hawkeye. To deploy these aircraft into the unfriendly skies, the Ford utilizes a troublesome electromagnetic aircraft launch system, EMALS. For recovering those aircraft, the carrier has advanced arresting gear, AAG. This system purportedly allows for higher rates of sorties. But the problem with these systems is that they have had multiple technical glitches and other complications. So, well, you better work on your toilets too, right? So anyhow, I think all this stuff, all these little articles here, blah, 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 blah. And now with the whole China, Taiwan is going to attack in 2027 rhetoric here, narrative, whatever you want to call it. We are prepared for a new era of increased defense spending. We are definitely going to see that. That's for sure. So we're going to have to look at those stocks. And the same thing with aluminum. You have to look at aluminum. If aluminum is going to increase, then we know what war is coming. So if you're going to keep seeing aluminum prices go higher and higher into 2027, then you'll know for sure there's something big is about to happen. This Iran stuff, it's just going to be like people slapping around their whatever. It's going to be nothing. It's probably going to be nothing. But it is an extension of the proxy wars. Okay, because most of these are used to test new technologies, right? The Maduro one was definitely used to test certain new technologies. Ukraine, Azerbaijan, Armenia, all these, that was testing all the drone sophistications, anti-drone and drone tech. So all that stuff is being tested out. And the other thing too is like psychological warfare, info war, essentially. So Palantir, right? How much information can they absorb, and how much of that is used to train and adapt to new tactics, all right, used in the battlefield. Psychology suggests, let's see, let me blah, blah, blah. Is this the same one? Fuck hell. Come on. I already read this. No, I wanted this one. Oh my god. Okay, here. So this is the other article that was written that these guys at 1945 made. Significant mechanical degradation. So remember, this was just 2 days before all the poop stuff happened, right? So it's pretty damn convenient. The U.S. Navy just lost another nuclear supercarrier. So, aircraft carrier USS John C. Stennis, CVN-74, remains sidelined at Newport News Shipbuilding, with its midlife overhaul now delayed by 14 months due to supply chain issues and significant mechanical degradation. During inspections, workers discovered a significantly degraded steam turbine generator essential for converting nuclear energy into electrical power. So, like I told you guys, you know, as much as we have in technology in 2026 compared to like the 1800s, we are still far primitive compared to whatever advanced civilization lies out there. Okay? So you better hope there's no Independence Day aliens coming down here, because they will wipe you out. All right? Because look at this. We still use steam to make power. Because even though if there's a nuclear energy plant on that boat, it still has to convert it to electricity through heating up water. Do you know how crap that is? Because you have to put salt water into the boat, boil it up, and then like, oh my god, freaking hell, we can't do any Star Trek stuff, so there's no Star Trek. All right, completely nonsensical. Anyhow, so you better go back to Roswell and find more tech for us to reverse engineer, because this is very bad. So obviously, of course, there's going to be mechanical issues. This setback forces the USS Gerald R. Ford to remain on high-tempo operations against Iran, raising concerns about crew fatigue and system strain. While the Navy has implemented quality-of-life improvements to avoid previous RCOH failures, the geopolitical need for the Stennis in the Indo-Pacific and Mediterranean has never been more urgent. Anyhow, yeah. The U.S. Navy is frustrated by the lack of full aircraft carrier readiness. The USS Gerald R. Ford supercarrier is on another mission against Iran that could stretch it to the breaking point. Well, it's already broken, right? So we already broke this carrier. The Nimitz-class USS John C. Stennis carrier is out of action until October. So if Taiwan wants to get taken by China, you know, you still have a window, right? This comes down at a time when a high operational tempo is needed to face down Iran, China, Russia, and North Korea, not to mention transnational criminal threats in the Western Hemisphere and terrorism in the Middle East. So, yeah, Team America World Police. The John C. Stennis is in port for refueling and complex overhaul. So that's what the RCOH meant. At the New York News shipbuilding in Virginia, which has rendered it combat ineffective since 2021. That was 5 years ago, and the overall delay has now reached 14 months. God damn. Should I just go into fusion physics? I don't know what you should get into. Can you make me an antimatter matter reactor? If you can make me that, oh man, hell yeah. But I think you're going to have to learn more about materials. So, yeah, Israel spanked Iran on its own. Yeah, carriers use literal slingshots to launch jets. That's correct. Yeah, they are just fancy slingshots. This is why Japan is trying to build their fabs. Yeah. You told me about Rapidus. So, yeah. We'll have to look into that some other time. All unemployed Jeets will have the gig economy unlocked. They already have it unlocked. They also buy up buildings, tons of buildings. All these apartments I've seen around the neighborhoods. So if you have a multi-unit complex and then one Indian comes in, they just buy the whole thing. So if you go to John Galt's, you can go ask him about it. He probably seen it himself all over DC. So yeah, he'll be the last black landlord in DC pretty much. So that's about it. Okay. Blah 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 blah. RCOHs are difficult procedures for shipyard workers and sailors. This process can take tens of millions of man-hours. All systems are checked and double-checked. Spare parts and components are ordered. The nuclear propulsion system is transformed into a modern marvel. Weapon systems are overhauled. No space in the carriers left unchecked. Oh, is this a repeat of the USS George Washington saga? The Stennis delay reminds one of the nearly 6-year RCOH of the USS George Washington that spent so long in port. Its crew suffered from mental health anguish that led to 11 self-deletions. The Navy expected the RCOH delays to be resolved. Oh, what? I didn't even know that. Oh, yeah. Okay, you can read most of this stuff anyway. But I think this just means like somebody out there, some think tank out there, wants more military spending, okay? And this is really going to affect things. And, you know, military spending is going to be in competition with AI spending. So before I leave you guys, so it's almost 1 hour and 30 minutes. Before I leave you guys, there's been a lot of like little news tidbits on spending. So here's an AI one, right? Here's some AI one. And then I'll go and find another one here. Oh, here's a good one too. Let me get this one pulled up. Let me see what else got to pull up. Oh, this was an Epstein one. This one's fun too. Okay, let me read this one for you guys too. All right. I have some more. I'm gonna read all you guys these little tweets. Okay, tweet segment. Okay. All right. Come on, don't crash the computer. Hurry up. Man, I need more memory on this thing. All right. Okay. Hopefully it doesn't crash this thing. U.S. Secretary Pete Hegseth has threatened to cut Anthropic from the Pentagon supply chain unless it agrees to its technology being used in all lawful military applications. This includes demanding an answer from U.S. threats to invoke the Defense Production Act over Anthropic, a meeting between Hegseth and Anthropic's CEO today, Anthropic expressing concerns about its model being used for lethal missions. Anthropic is back under pressure. Okie dokie. So yeah, military definitely wants to get this thing on lock with the AI. And let's look at how much AI is growing in South Korea. The AI boom is fueling in South Korea, in the South Korean economy. Exports have surged 47% year over year in the first 20 days of February. Strongest reading in at least 2 years. This follows 34% gain in January, making the second consecutive monthly acceleration in growth. These figures also came despite fewer working days due to the 3-day Lunar New Year holiday. The surge was driven by semiconductor exports that soared 134% year over year, so a lot of memory, I assume, and other chips. Furthermore, shipments of computer peripherals and petrochemical products jumped 129% and 11%, respectively. Exports to Taiwan and China rose 76% and 31%, respectively, and shipments to the U.S. increased 22%. South Korea is seeing massive economic growth. Well, I mean, that's good for the global economy. When South Korea has a lot of exports, that's a good sign. a bellwether for the global economy. But again, it's all in AI. It's all in AI. So if you look at here, incredible chart by Apollo, putting the AI hyperscalers CapEx into perspective. Our top 5 companies are spending more on CapEx per year than the military budget of Germany, UK, France, Japan, Italy, and Canada combined. So the red is AI, and the only military spender that's larger than that AI spend is the United States, and most of that AI spend is probably also part of the military spending. So you can just put that red and green together and just say that's the US all together, and Jesus, this is gonna be wild. This is gonna be wild. There's a lot of spending on this stuff, man. There's a lot of spending. But is this gonna be bad? Is this gonna be bad? So I have another tweet. Let me find it. Let me find it. All right, this one. Yeah, how many Apollo programs was it in CapEx? Like 5? You talking about like the moon missions, Apollo? Because a tweet, when they talk about Apollo, that's just the fund. That's just the fund. That's just a big investment fund or something. So I don't know if that's what you meant. So it's Apollo Global Management. So I mean, that's even in that blog they mentioned Apollo, didn't they? That blog that was talking about that AI fantasy. That's Apollo. So look up Apollo Asset Management. So they do pension funds, they do endowments, they do sovereign wealth funds, they do all kinds of shit. Here you go. So if you don't know about Apollo, you better know Apollo. Smell the money, man. That Apollo in that tweet was not about the Apollo moon missions. This is Apollo Global Management. So they're going to be the ones that are worried about about this. The moon landing didn't even happen, man. That's fake. We're flat Earth, baby, over here, baby. So anyhow, okay. So credit default swap protection on big tech is surging. The total net notational CDS, so that's the credit default swaps, outstanding on major tech companies has surged to a record $10 billion. So a CDS is essentially a insurance policy on your bond. So if I buy a bunch of bonds, okay, from some company like Microsoft, Oracle, whatever, any of these companies that do a lot of AI, Google, then so the Oracle ones definitely had a big problem. A lot of people were buying CDSs on them because they didn't believe that Oracle could pay them back. Because bonds, you have to remember, are a contract, many large contracts, many years. So you can buy a bond from Apple, right? It could be like 10, 15-year bond. And you don't believe that Apple will finish paying you off in those at the end of 15 years. Then you would buy a CDS. A CDS will protect you from it, from them not paying you. So this is now a record $10 billion, nearly 5 times the $2.2 billion seen just 13 months ago. Oracle leads at $6 billion, so that's well known. We know Oracle is an issue here. And then now it's followed by Amazon at $1.7 billion, Alphabet at $895 million, Meta at $687 million, Microsoft at $521 million, and Nvidia at $220 million. A year ago, CDS contracts on many of these names did not even exist. AI debt binge has likely gone too far. So there you go. Wall Street is saying massive big tech capex is not sustainable. 35% of global fund managers say companies are over-investing, the highest in at least 20 years. 30% of those surveys see AI capex as the most likely source of a credit crisis. Oh no! Oh shit! The AI bubble. So anyway, let's look at the housing market right now. So I saw these tweets. And you know me, right? I've been talking about like the 18.5 year cycle in housing. And so if you're willing to wait to buy a house, I think in the next several years, there will be some kind of housing crash that will occur. Maybe it will coincide with the war with Taiwan or something like that. I have no clue. But you know, we already are hitting our 18.5 year mark since the 2007 crash. All right, so since 2007, you know, it's been about 18 years. Okay, guys, it's time to get ready. Pucker up, and prepare yourself. So Google searches for "can't sell a house" just hit a all-time high, higher than 2008, higher than COVID, higher than anything we've ever seen. We all know what that means. So let's look at this. U.S. housing just flipped. Sellers now outnumber buyers by 600,000, the biggest gap ever recorded. From bidding wars to please take it in record time. Okay, well, you know, that makes sense. I think we people are still waiting for the interest rates to drop, so that's probably one reason. If this is a prelude for a crash, I don't know. But for sure, people, if they know that there's going to be a change in the Federal Reserve chair, then they probably are waiting it out and see what happens to interest rates once the new guy gets in. So that's probably nothing. But it makes great drama, right? To put that tweet up. Okay, we're going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein for a little bit here. Okay. Let's see what else. Oh, this one will be important after the Epstein stuff. Here. The CEO of Barclays tells Epstein the reason there's no revolution against the pedophile elites is because the public has been pacified by bread and circuses like hip-hop culture. Okay, let's read this. To Jeffrey Epstein from Jess Staley. You want to know why we are not Sao Paulo? So basically says like, you know why we don't look like Brazil? Watch the TV ads on the Super Bowl. It's all about hip blacks in hip cars with white women. The group that should be in the streets has been bought off by Jay-Z. Well, there you go. You heard it from the horse's mouth. So if you guys didn't know, now you know. Okay. Laramie better get ready to buy up those crack shacks. Yeah, he has to. He better have that money saved up and timed correctly. He can buy those things on pennies on the dollar for sure. There's gonna be a wave coming, so he better save up for the next several years. Okay, get ready for 2029 to 2030, baby. Okay, last thing to cover: the forward the price to earnings ratio, so that's what PE here it means, of the tech sector is now at par with consumer staples. In other words, the market is now valuing tech at the same multiple as boring, slow growth staples companies. Staples companies are like Procter & Gamble, you know, Nestle, stuff like that, Dollar Tree, Dollar General. That has only happened 3 times in the last 7 years. COVID, the 2022 bear market, and Liberation Day. So let's look at that. So this is reflexivity in action. So if you remember, I've been talking about reflexivity several times at least now, talking about George Soros. This is how he trades. He trades on people's ideas of reflexivity, okay? And let me put that graph up for you guys. So the blue one is the PE ratio of all the information technology type stuff, okay? And then the orange one is the PE ratios of consumer staples. Consumer staples are generally boring stocks that you buy. They have dividends, you know. So, like I said, you get the Procter & Gamble, you get the Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, stuff like that. People just eat potato chips. But the thing is, these stocks are not sexy. These stocks don't have the crazy reflexivity that you would get in tech companies. So, you want tech companies because they act like this. So, the earnings per share is essentially what these plots are showing. So, this is like they say PE ratio. The 4P ratio, that's the same thing as earnings per share, okay? So that's a fundamental metric of a company. And so the stocks, you want to see people get hyped. So this thicker black line goes up faster and higher than the actual fundamental of a stock. So people can complain, it's like, oh man, the price of NVIDIA is too expensive. It's too expensive. It doesn't matter. If people want to overpay for NVIDIA because they are hyped about the future of AI, they'll keep overpaying for it. And the demand for that stock is higher than the supply, then of course that stock price will go up higher than anything like PE ratios, okay? So in general, Coca-Cola doesn't act like that, right? Coca-Cola doesn't have the effect. Nobody buys Coca-Cola because it's going to moon. There's no growth. There's no improvement in a bottle of Coca-Cola. They're not going to suddenly say, hey, guys, we're going to reintroduce the original Coca-Cola formula and put in cocaine back in there. And so all these people are going to get addicted to Coca-Cola. No, they're not doing that. Coca-Cola will always be boring Coca-Cola. So nobody buys that stock for that reason, right? They just buy it for the boring dividend and slow, steady pace growth. But for the rest of the people that want the excitement, the George Soros of the world, they want to trade. So they want to trade stocks that have this effect. They want to have stocks that go a lot higher than reality and they'll go a lot lower than reality. So when things turn and people worry about the AI bubble and the crash of the US economy and unemployment going to 20%, what do you think you're going to do? You're going to short NVIDIA. So that's the reason I think why they put those blog posts out there. They want to get everyone ready to panic. Okay? They're getting everyone juiced up for Taiwan. They're getting everyone juiced up for the AI bubble because they're ready to rug pull. So I'm going to leave you with that. That's it. That's all I got to say today. So be prepared. Be prepared, okay? I told you the astrology. We have a lunar eclipse. We're going to have something happen. So let's get ready for it this weekend. All right. I don't know what you meant by this Pete Brent bench press guy. Is that a reference to something? What's up, Regula Degula? What's up? What's up, Master Kim? What's up, Sin7 Sin? Okay. I'll see you guys around. Maybe it's going to be another boring Wednesday because NVIDIA doesn't report until after the close. So I'm probably not going to do nothing. So I'll probably come back tomorrow at night. If there's something really exciting after NVIDIA, I'll say it. But I think you guys know what to do. Yes, he did a photo op bench pressing. People say it was fake. Oh, okay. Okay, you mean like the Earth is flat and yeah, the whole that stuff. Okay, all right, I got you. Okay. Is there anything going on YouTube anyway? Is anybody streaming? It was a pretty boring day today, right? Everybody was streaming yesterday. There was a bunch of people flipping out, going crazy in the Boit land. So if you don't know, you should go to Universal Jones. All right, you should go to Universal Jones and go subscribe to his. Yeah, so yeah, just go to his channel, man. Just go to his channel. It was supposedly 300 pounds bench press. Okay. Okay, yeah. So Universal Jones, Be Better Network. All right. So I put the banner on top. You guys should go there, and also Napstars. Anita Bong hit. So we already had a stream on the over the weekend. So if you didn't catch it now. Go to Boyd Part 2. It was a Saturday stream. So yeah, Anita Bong hit. ANIDABONGHIT. I also saw Schizo Spuds was streaming a bit yesterday, so that should be cool. Yeah. Oh, it looks like Jeremy's streaming to 77 people. Pseudo panel. Okay. Oh, great. Looks like people are going over there to stream. I don't know. Is there anything interesting to talk about? And also, please subscribe to my Kick and YouTube channels, just in case Urban Landlord gets struck down. Okay, so give crack to me on Kick and YouTube. GIVECRACK. The number 2 and ME. All right. Okay. Yes, that's it. No, I'm not kidding you. That's his channel. Be Better Network. All right. So you better be better. Later, folks. Go over to Jeremy's. Go see what he's doing. He's got 77 viewers, so it must be spicy. He must be talking about Grace or some shit, right? He only gets viewers when he has to deal with Grace. Something to do with Grace. So go over to Jeremy's panel. Puts you up there. All right. Later.